rebuilding. A catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 125 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast. Today we're going to talk about changing your fears into curiosity. So, all of us have fears that we deal with. It doesn't matter who we are. I don't care how much you got your shit together. We have fears. Now, as we get more in tune, as we get more, what's the bad English version? More better at dealing with ourselves and working with ourselves and then strengthening our weaknesses, shoring up our weaknesses and improving our strengths, some of the fears that we have will go away. Some of the fears that we have will never go away because it depends how they were ingrained into us, whatever incidents we had as we were kids or growing up or life experiences. There's certain things that we're going to have as fears. But a really cool concept is when you're trying to face your fears, and here's the other thing too, we're never going to have a life devoid of fear. And courage is really doing what has to be done in the face of fear. Not the absence of fear, but in the face of fear. Courage is being able to deal with it. It doesn't take it away. It doesn't remove it, right? It's always going to be there. But how we handle it is what we need to work on. So what if we took the curiosity standpoint to that? What if we sat down and said, okay, here are my 3 fears that I deal with, and write them down. And you'll notice there's always a theme, guys. It's always about taking an emotion, taking a situation, taking a piece of paper and a pen, and write things down. Because it's in doing that we really start to physically address a situation. It goes deeper into our brain and our subconscious when we write things out, when we draw things out, when we put a physical activity to a mental situation. It just works deeper. So what if we take those top 3 fears that we have and we get curious about them? Look at that one fear we have. Pick one. Why do I have this fear? What has caused this fear? What continues to feed this fear? And using this curiosity, what can we do to belay that fear, to lessen that fear, to hedge against that fear? So if you have a fear of money, a fear of not having enough money, well, what are a couple ways we can deal with it? Get better with our money, earn more money, spend less money. As part of the curiosity is look at how we handle money. Look at why we feel the way we feel about money. Is another fear we have loneliness? Is another fear we have failure? Is another fear we have success? We've heard that before, fear of failure, fear of success. But they're fears. But let's get curious about it. Let's entertain the fear. Let's look at it. Now, that's not a normal reaction. Typically, when we fear something, we want to move away from it. We repel from it. Fight or flight kicks in. So we have different ways that we're going to deal with it. We're going to ignore it. We're going to push it off. We're going to move away from it. We're going to overreact. We're going to do stuff to keep our minds busy so we don't think about the fear. We drink, we eat. We hide in front of the TV, in front of our devices, social media, all those things. All those things that I just mentioned, eating, drinking, sex, TV, social media, right? Those are things in itself aren't bad. None of those things are bad. It's what we use them for and how much we rely on them that becomes bad or negative. Why are we doing it? Why do we sit and watch TV for 4 hours? Because there's not 4 hours of great TV in a row, ever. But why do we do it? So again, the curiosity. We're doing it to avoid something. And we're avoiding something that most likely is a fear. So let's get curious. Why are we doing it? And once we know what it is, and once we kind of have an idea what it is, let's get curious as to how to resolve it, how to deal with it. Maybe it's facing it. How do I face it? Maybe it's learning how to deal with it specifically. Well, I need to get better with money. Well, how do I do that? What has to happen? What are good ways to do it? What are quick ways to do it? What are smart ways to do it? We're always going to have fears, but the more we can turn and face them, the more we can turn and become curious as to why they're fears. I think that's where we're going to make a huge difference in how we deal with them. And then again, the confidence will come from that. When those fears spike and we know we've been working on them and we know we've been addressing them and we know we've been getting curious as to why and how to solve and how to, mitigate them, that gives us confidence. Do I think that'll remove all our fears? No, but I think it'll remove a lot of fears. I think it'll make fears and it'll shrink them. And then we can use fear as more of a signal or a sign, as a warning sign. You see our bank account's really low. Well, that fear of money, at that point, when you learn how to deal with it better, well, that just can become a signal. Well, why is my account that low? Well, let's look into it. Oh, I forgot I spent that. Oh, I forgot this is happening. Oh, I'm spending too much on this. Need to increase income. That's the curiosity part. Just saying we have a fear and shutting things down and some fearful stop, that's where I think we make the mistakes. Why am I always facing the same fear? Am I putting myself in this situation over and over again that I shouldn't? Well, let's get curious about that. Why am I doing that? Why am I always doing that? Oh, this always happens to me. Oh, interesting. Well, why does this always happen to you? What are you doing to put yourself in a situation that this always happens to you? And I think the big fear that comes from a lot of that is that we're fearful that we're going to find out we are the cause of a lot of our situations that we don't like. I hear it all the time. Oh, this never works for me. This diet never works. Well, no, the diet's not working. You're not working the diet. So you fear getting on a scale. Well, why do you fear getting on a scale? Because the scale is going to give you the feedback that you already know is going to be there. But rather than face that and get curious about that, and why is it? Why is it that I can't stick to a diet? That, to me, is a great way to start looking at things. I'm always trying to lose weight. I'm always dealing with my weight, but I don't sit there and say, pretend I don't understand why. I fucking know why. Because I eat the wrong shit. It's that simple. So when I sit there, for me, the curious part now is, well, why do I do that? Well, for me, maybe it's stress. Well, I know sometimes it is stress. It's emotions or lack of preparedness. I know that because I've looked into it. So it's up to me to deal with it and get better at it and work on it. But I know for a fact that's why it happens. So for me to solve it, I just have to change those patterns. Easier said than done. But at the end of the day, it's no longer a mystery. So that's why. Now, I think that's why a lot of people get stuck because they fear having to do the work. They fear having to take ownership. But again, turn that curiosity into it. Why do we have that? I heard someone say the other day, the reason why we don't do these things for ourselves and we sabotage ourselves is because we don't feel we deserve it. We don't have enough self-love. That's a pretty powerful statement. But I think it has more truth in it than we realize. In fact, I know it does. Because if we care about someone greatly, we don't want to see them come to harm. We don't want to see them be unhealthy, right? So it's the same for us. When we're struggling with something, we need to turn around and look at it in a way that, hey, we deserve to have better. We deserve not to suffer this way. But then we have to do the work to do it, and we are worth it. That really is the big thing. That's probably one of the biggest things I've come to in the last couple of years is to really sit down with the fact that I truly am worth improving. I truly am worth putting this work in. And as I move forward and I get better at it and I start to believe it further and further and deeper, things are improving. But we don't get there overnight. These fears don't happen overnight. So we're not going to solve them overnight. But let's get curious. Let's get curious as to why those fears exist. That's the one thing I think we've lost as we've gotten older. When we were young, we were curious. We asked a lot of questions. And then we were told, stop asking questions. Right? It was programmed out of us. But the people that move forward and become what we judge as successful, one of the other traits they have is they are curious as to why. Why is this like this? How can I do this? How can I make this happen for myself? They have not lost that curiosity. I know for myself, I'll often walk by a business and I'll see it and it looks really cool. I'm curious, well, how does that work? What are they doing? It doesn't mean I want to copy that business. It doesn't mean all of a sudden I want to open up a flower shop because I see a busy flower shop. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm curious, why is that flower shop busy? And the one 2 blocks down isn't? Because it's fucking flowers. Right? It's that curiosity that's super important. So let's use that curiosity. It's a superpower we need to redevelop, we need to reawaken in ourselves again. Because at one point we were super curious about everything in the world. And then we got jaded, it got worked out on us, it got beaten out of us, it got programmed out of us. We can all remember a time when we were told, stop asking so many questions. Probably the worst thing that we could ever have been told. Be fucking curious. That's all I got to say about that for now, guys. That was a long dramatic pause. A lot of dramatic pauses today. That's my new thing, dramatic pause. Doesn't work well when you're in a line at the drive-thru, though. Head on over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating, a positive review. Head on over to Hostile Gear. Use the code Silverback to get yourself some curiosity-inducing clothing and save 20%. As always, guys, work hard, motherfuckers, and I'm going to talk to you guys later.